redshirt sophomore quarterback Dwayne Haskins are both likely to go pro in his opinion. And Gil is, for as long as I've been covering this, I have not seen Gil make very many public statements like that have not turned out to be true. And so I guess that's what it kind of comes down to is when I look at these players, I see two players who are both incredibly gifted. I think they're certainly first-round caliber prospects. But we've talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, Scott, that at least for me, when I see Justin Herbert, I see a guy who has not ascended. He's basically been the same player all year long this year, which is a very good one, but I want to see him finish the deal. I want to see him put a team on his back and win the game at the end. And some of that is just due to the fact that Oregon has either won most games going away or they've lost a few games, but they haven't had very many close games. And then on the other side with Dwayne Haskins, they've had a lot of close games, and often Haskins has been one of the difference makers, at least in my opinion. And so I'm taking a little bit of heat because I've moved Dwayne Haskins as my top-rated quarterback prospect for the 2019 draft, and I don't know if he's going to come out early or not. I just have been really impressed by his character. We talked so much about character before. And so I'm kind of curious to hear, not necessarily your thoughts on these players individually, but just your thoughts on this underclassmen quarterback class. Do you feel like there's some players this year of the underclassmen that you think are worthy of early consideration? And what are your thoughts on these quarterbacks in that process?
You know what, Rob? I don't want to get into individual names.
Yep.
Because I can't. I don't think it's a good quarterback class, especially compared to last year.
Yep.
Not even close. But, yeah, I mean, I know them. I've done them. I've watched them on tape. I got a lot of background stuff just from watching tape. But because of my service, I can't get into individual names.
Yeah. No, I got you. Well, then let me ask you this. As far as, normally, here we are, early December, before the bowl games, obviously. And so we have another month and a few days. January 15th is the traditional underclassmen deadline. By now, when you're operating, doing the consulting business that you're doing now, and previously as a general manager, as a scout, do you feel like you'd know if these players are coming out? Would you have a pretty good feel for that now? And if so, do you think that these guys may be coming out, or do you not have a feel for that at this point?
No, I do. I got a feel for it. I've been watching a lot of underclassmen for the teams I work for,
okay.
And the agents I work for.
Yeah.
Like I said, if it's not a good depth draft class at quarterback. So if you think you can roll, you think you have the ability to do it, then you're coming out.
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's as you're well aware, we talked about it. It's going to be a heavy draft class early, defensively.
Yep.
But quarterbacks are going to go. They do every year.
Yep.
I mean, it's inevitable. And there's teams like the Redskins. Who have their top two quarterbacks with broken legs.
Yeah.
You have no idea if they're going to be able to come back or not. So do you pass on the quarterback that you think's talented? It's tough to do. Cleveland did a really good job last year, and they needed one, to take Baker.
Yeah.
And it looks like Baker's going to be a really good player. I think Darnold's going to be a good player. I think Rosen's going to be a good player.
I'm intrigued by Allen and Jackson. We'll see what happens with them. Some of the other young players out there too, but they've shown flashes. But yeah, those are the three that have, in my opinion, have been the most impressive so far.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, if you need one, you got to go get them. Otherwise, you're going to futz around in free agency and overpay.
Yep.
And not making fun of the Redskins, but son of a gun. Look at the money they paid Alex. Now, they didn't know he was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
But look at Minnesota, what they paid Kirk.
Exactly.
I mean, it affects your organization, not just today, but for the next 3 to 4 years.
Exactly, and it is so important, especially at the quarterback position, and that's kind of one of the things we talked about before. It's just like that if you have that football character, and so that's why I think that it's important for for scouts to be evaluating these young quarterbacks. If, let's say, a Justin Herbert or Dwayne Haskins, if they decide to come out early, then, do they have that love of the game? Do they, the way that some of the quarterbacks that you just mentioned have? And so the Washington Redskins, not Minnesota, obviously, with Kirk Cousins, they're going to be pretty locked in with Kirk Cousins. But, potentially even the 49ers. I mean, I know that Jimmy Garoppolo, they have a lot of money invested in him. But if they have the number 1 overall pick and you have Kyle Shanahan sitting right there, hoping that he's going to get a quarterback that fits his offense, this is such a defensive line dominated draft. In my opinion, I think you're crazy if you go with any other position other than those big defensive linemen this year. But as you said, Scott, I mean, people need quarterbacks and they're going to go. And if Herbert and Haskins are available, they certainly are gifted.
Hey, what about Kyler Murray?
Well, that's the thing. And so I was kind of curious to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, obviously he won the Heisman Trophy, and I got to give a tip of the cap to you, Scott. You were talking about Kyler Murray is a Heisman candidate like the day after his first start. I mean, you've been on him longer. I don't know that Kyler Murray's parents thought of him as a Heisman candidate any earlier than you did. So that's, like I said, a nice job there, buddy. But you hear the agent, Scott Boras. Of course, a lot of people know that Kyler Murray's signed a 5-year, $5 million deal to play baseball for the Oakland A's. And it sounds like it would be difficult to get out of it. But I don't know.
And the thing about it, which is cool, is the fact that, I don't know him as a baseball player. Of course, I never watched him. But I tell you what, he's a good quarterback. Maybe it's just college. I know he's not going to measure well. He's going to be short. He's not going to have a lot of weight to him. But I tell you what, the son of a gun makes some impressive plays. All he does is win.
Yep.
He did in college.
In high school.
Yeah.
In high school.
Yeah, I mean high school. I'm sorry. Never lost a game. In college, he's rolled this year. And he's unique. Now, I've been around Russell Wilson. I've been around Baker Mayfield, and I know there's shorter guys. I've seen Drew Brees live many times. Beat me, but he, there's things about instincts and about vision and about making plays, and you can't teach it. Yeah. It's God given. Now I don't know what he wants to do. I mean, I don't know if he wants to play baseball, wants to play football. I have no idea. He's not Bo Jackson, I promise you that.
Or Deion Sanders. Yeah.
Yeah. They were different animals, but that guy's a good football player, and it's proven out, now we'll see how he does in the playoffs. But I don't think anything really phases him. And he reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson.
Yeah. You first gave me that comparison, and I thought, well, there's a lot of guys out there that compare people to Russell Wilson, but of course, not very many of them that are going to compare somebody to Russell Wilson know him as well as you do. Obviously, worked with the Seahawks when they drafted Russell Wilson. So that was impressive in itself. And of course, me here with the Seahawks basically in my backyard, I've watched so many Seahawks games over the years. And so I was a little bit skeptical, but you're right. When I watch Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson is exactly who I think of. And it's not just the size, it's not just the speed, it's the instincts, it's the spatial awareness. Both players just seem like they have almost eyes in the back of their head, and that they know where guys are around them and how they can sneak under the reach of somebody, or they can, just barely get this pass either over or under, different rushers so they can get the ball out. And so it really is remarkable how well that they are, how similar they are, and how well they both fit in today's kind of modern era of football, where there's so many teams looking for the run pass options and things of that nature. When you have a dual threat quarterback, then you don't need RPOs with other players because the quarterback himself is basically an RPO. And so that to me is what's exciting about this. And so I wanted to, before we go too much farther, I wanted to kind of shift to the defense and the fact that so few defenses in today's modern era of football are able to handle these explosive offenses, in part because of creative play calling and these dynamic athletes. And I mentioned it before, the linebackers. I mean, that's, you and I, Scott, are old school, pound the football type of guys. We like our defense. And, nothing is the stereotypical defense, that just kind of represents defense like a linebacker. I mean, you think of the old, Mike Singletary or Dick Butkus or Jack Lambert, the old guys, the way they played football when you love the way the game was played. But in today's era, it's not so much about the glass eaters, the big physical tough guys. I mean, they certainly have to be toughness, but they have to be so fast anymore. And so that's why I was going to ask you to kind of move away from quarterbacks a little bit. As exciting as that conversation is, I always love talking football or talking quarterbacks with you. But instead, talk a little bit about linebackers. And like I said, I think that today's new age offenses basically require new age defenders. And so I saw one of them last night, Monday Night Football. We talked a little bit about the Seahawks before. Rather than Russell Wilson, the quarterback of the defense, and Bobby Wagner, who, for my money, is probably playing as well as any linebacker in the league right now. Just his speed. I mean, you're on a 4.46 at 240 pounds. As Utah State Pro Days, you may have even been there. I don't know. But, can you just talk about some of the linebackers that you've seen here in recent years that you think are the players best suited to playing linebacker in today's NFL, where there's so much coverage, responsibilities of running backs and things of that nature? Is it Bobby Wagner for you? Is it Luke Kuechly? Or who are some of the linebackers that you really appreciate watching now and remember scouting back in the day?
Well, the thing about it is, we took Bobby, I guess, 14 or 13, whatever it was. The thing I learned from Pete Carroll and from the defense in Seattle was speed.
Yep.
Not just a linebacker, but at any position. We had two corners when we won the Super Bowl. There weren't speed guys.
Yep.
But we had linebackers that could really run. And it's something, you can't teach speed. You either have it or you don't have it. You can't teach quickness. You either have it or you don't have it. You have quick twitch. You have it or you don't have it. I watched Bobby last night, and he's the same guy when I left there. The guy's a heck of a football player.
Yeah, he is.
Heck of a football player. It's not just from the standpoint, speed helps out a lot, but you could have linebackers that have speed that run the wrong direction. They run themselves out of play too much. Yep. The thing about Bobby, he's got instincts. He's got eyes. He can see it and go get it. And again, like I said, you could have any coach you want. You and I could go out there and coach him. He's gonna make plays no matter what. But I was lucky enough to draft Patrick Willis when I was in San Fran.
Yep.
And the son of a gun, same thing. Speed, quickness, instincts. Every game he affected in a positive manner for the team. Every game. And it's, I've been around a lot of good linebackers. I mean, Takeo Spikes, not the same speed, but the instincts and the toughness.
Yeah.
It's incredible. KJ Wright, dang good football player. He's got length. He can play in space. He can rush a passer. And guys like that, that's why the draft's so important, because you got to stockpile at any position, but especially linebacker. You got to stockpile speed and football players, because the most important thing for a linebacker is instincts. Does he have production? Okay, why does he have production? Majority of the time, it's because he can see it and he has speed to get to the ball, inside or outside. And it's a unique trait. They're hard to find, but I've been lucky enough to be around, multiple Pro Bowlers, and it's pretty freaking cool. And then they're tough. They're tough. And that's, I don't care what position it is, especially linebacker, especially inside linebacker, you got to be tough. You take some nasty shots.
Yeah.
You got fullbacks, you got